Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Lindsay and you're watching my channel ASightToSee, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not really doing that much traveling while I'm working at this summer camp, but I will be after, and there's a really important reason for that. This is something that I've wanted to talk about on my channel for a long time, but I didn't really know how to incorporate it in with my United States traveling, because basically the more that I travel in the United States, and the more I travel out of the United States and then come back to the United States and back and forth, I realized a lot about this country that I can't stand anymore. And now let me start this off by saying I love the people in the United States. I love the landscapes, and we got some cool animal. That's about it. That's about all I love about the United States, honestly. People are amazing, landscapes are amazing, but everything else I kind of have a problem with. And I don't know if I ever would have questioned these things as problems if I never left the United States. I realized that there are a lot of people that don't have the opportunity to do so or the money to do so. So that's why I want to share about my experience of things that I've learned from leaving and coming back with you, so maybe it could open up your mind to a different perspective. So let me start off with a story of why I started researching so deeply into these topics. It was actually after camp last year. I spent a little bit of time road tripping, as you guys remember, and then I went and stayed with my friend Dylan in Colorado for a bit. When I was traveling around, I had all this energy, so happy, so much motivation to film vlogs and do absolutely everything that I love. And then I was chilling inside with him for a few days editing because I had my PC there. Day 3, I started to feel sad and depressed, and I was like, I don't get it. My depression and anxiety is something that I've been trying to kick for years. It's something that I'm not letting win. But I wanted to find out why. What is causing this? Is it me? Is it the chemical imbalance in my brain that these doctors told me about? And so after a summer of literally being so happy every day, I just was like, I think I kicked it. I think I kicked this depression. And I think I figured out what I want to do, which is endlessly travel. So I'm like, then there's no way that this depression can sink back in. And so on day 3, I was like, what is going on? Everything is absolutely perfect. And then I was like, maybe I just need to clean a little bit, have a really nice work area. Maybe it'll make my headspace a little bit better. So we wound up cleaning everything in the room that day and just making everything look extra sparkly. Washed all my clothes. They all smelled good. I felt like I was wearing a t-shirt. I just felt my chest get a little itchy, but I didn't think much of it. And then I went to take a shower, and I was washing myself with a washcloth, and then my arm started to get really itchy, and I was like, what is going on? And then I immediately thought laundry detergent. A few years ago I had a bad reaction to a certain type of Tide laundry detergent, but I knew from the last time I stayed with my friend that he used Arm & Hammer or something. And so then I got out of the shower and I was like, hey, what laundry detergent do you use? And he was like, I'm not even sure, let me go check. It wound up being Tide. And I was like, I'm definitely allergic to this. Let's change this. So we bought the most fragrance-free one that we had at the store across the street, rewashed everything, and I was okay. And then we slept, and I woke up the next morning. For the first time in months, Dylan was like, I didn't have to use Afrin to go to sleep. He said that he would always get stuffy noses when he would sleep. And this was the first time in months where he didn't have to use that, and he was fine the entire night. And I was like, that's really interesting that it was causing your nose to do that. And then I started researching a little bit about chemicals. It started with a little bit. And I was like, well, I wonder what the ingredient is in Tide that I'm allergic to that might have also been what he's allergic to and just was different for him. And this started about a 9-month journey of me I'm currently on the path of learning so much. Every day I learn more about chemicals. What I originally did was I wrote out every single ingredient in Tide laundry detergent, all 29 of them. And I made a spreadsheet on Google Docs. Here, I'll just put it over here in the corner. And I made the green ingredients ones that are fine for you, blue ones that can in some people cause allergic reactions but not very many, yellow that are known irritants and definitely cause allergic reactions in most people, and then red are known to cause cancer. And it blew my mind seeing that there was 4 ingredients in Tide that cause cancer, and I'm like, what? We knowingly put this on our body. I immediately thought about all of those St. Jude commercials, let's find a cure for cancer. And I was like, but if we have an idea of things that cause cancer, why are we using them? That just is silly. Why would we do that? I also saw that there are ingredients in Tide laundry detergent that cause central nervous system depression. And I thought back to all the days that I couldn't get out of bed because I was so depressed, and why it was so hard to leave bed, and why it was so hard to wake up. And they cause drowsiness. And they just cause so many bad things. I'm like, why are we washing our clothes in this? We wear our clothes all the time. We sleep in this all the time. We're around it all the time. And once I learned which ingredients cause those things, I started looking for them in other products. And I found them in cleaners. I found them in my soaps, my shampoos, my makeup wipes, my makeup, and like the list went on and on and on. And I was like, oh my God. And then I thought to myself, when I was told that depression was a chemical imbalance, I think I just assumed that that meant that the chemicals in my brain are messed up. I didn't take it in the sense of it being a reaction caused from other chemicals interacting with my chemicals in a bad way, in a way that they're not supposed to. And that really bothered me, because you look at all of the name brands, the most popular ones, the ones that have the most commercials, the ones that have the most money, the companies that are owned by each other, how Tide and Gain have the same parent company, and it's just like we have this illusion of choice, but we really don't have a choice. They're making money either way. I was like, let me get rid of all of my fragrance products. And I spent hundreds switching to other products, other makeup. Initially, I wanted to clear up my acne, which I did. Once I stopped using stuff with fragrance in it. Fragrance is the worst. And I thought that fragrance meant smell. Fragrance does not mean smell. Fragrance is a chemical that's comprised of 4,000 chemicals that they don't have to tell us what's in there because it could be marked as a trade secret. But a lot of those cause cancer, and you don't really know which ones do and don't. You could get lovely things that don't have fragrance, that are fragrance free, and that smell wonderful. Started using Dr. Bronner's soap that smells amazing, and the smell lasts so much longer. Whereas these other products that have fragrance, you put it on you and then the smell lasts for like a few minutes and then you have to reapply. Sounds like a great marketing scheme. Once I switched over all of that, I started working at that hostel in Montana, and I was a little nervous when I saw that I was in a basement, and I was also nervous when I saw that they used Tide, because I was like, oh boy. And when I was around that, I felt awful. Now that I had been away from fragrance products for so long, I guess it's a tolerance that we're all built up to. Because even smelling candles, and I love candles. I used to have 10 around my apartment, light them all, and wonder why I'd be sad. There are chemicals in candles that cause central nervous system depression. And I was like, ugh. So like when somebody there would light a candle, I felt dizzy, I felt sad. I started to pay more attention to my emotions and the things around me that were then causing said emotions. Because I had always said at the beginning of my channel, I am the happiest when I'm out in nature. And guess what's not out here? There's no Tide laundry detergent, there's no Lysol, there's no chemicals, there's nothing. It's just fresh air and the trees. Once I stepped back into this, like I went out to a bar with all my new friends, and I couldn't breathe in there, and I was like, oh my God, like, is this my life now? Like I just overreact to all fragrance. But then the longer I was there, my tolerance started to get built back up, and that really scared me. But it was kind of like a social experiment, if you will, to see what these chemicals are really doing to our bodies. And I learned that a lot of these chemicals in our products here are banned in other countries. I was talking to this awesome guy from Chile, and he was like talking about all the cleaning products at the hospital. He's like, these are so bad. Like, we use like organic and natural things in my country. We don't use things like this. And I was like, I can see why. And then after I finished I didn't finish. Every day I'm learning about chemicals. But after switching all of those products, I was like, well, I just learned about all of the products that I couldn't read on label. I didn't know sodium lauryl sulfate, mesotheliolamine. Like I couldn't pronounce those. I didn't know what they are. Why am I putting them on my body? And then I thought the same about food. And then I started really deep diving into food. One of my friends developed hypothyroidism. I started learning more about her disease, and she learned that eating gluten is really bad for hypothyroidism. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Why? And then I started learning about the difference of inflammatory foods and non-inflammatory foods, anti-inflammatory foods. And I learned things like gluten, dairy, red meat, sugar, oils, certain types of vegetables, nightshades, are all inflammatory foods and are bad for you. Bad. They're bad for you because they cause inflammation. Now, I'm not trying to say, hey, go change your diet completely, because it's not easy at all. This is just what helped me, so I want to share with other people who maybe feel or felt the way that I did. Just to open your eyes a little bit. I, through this, have learned that I possibly have celiac disease. And I thought celiac disease was like, you die if you eat gluten, like you gotta go to the hospital, like it's just like a terrible type of reaction. But it's not. There are a lot of people, apparently according to the internet, like 2 million people that have celiac disease that don't even know. And I think I might be one of them. And I only figured this out like 3 days ago, but we'll get to that. So I learned about all these inflammatory foods. And then I learned that all the things that are wrong with me are inflammatory problems. So I was told I have chronic bronchitis. I'm told I have periodontal disease, which is inflamed gums, and I have psoriasis. And those are all inflammatory diseases. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna cut out all these inflammatory foods. I also used to smoke, used to vape, and that's also inflammatory. It just inflames your entire body constantly every time you take a hit. So January 1st of this year, I stopped eating gluten, I stopped eating meat. And then it was a little hard at first, but knowing what I was doing for my body made it easier. And then come end of February, I finally stopped smoking for the first time in like years. And I did it when I went to Mexico with my girls because I was distracted and they don't smoke. And I was like, I'm in a different environment, I can do this. And I haven't touched one since. And then as soon as I came back from Mexico, I realized that I was getting sick from cheese a lot. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm lactose intolerant now. So buy cheese, which I also learned that if you're celiac, gluten intolerance comes with that too. On top of all of that, if you don't know anything about me, I have known since I was 14 that I have an allergic reaction when I eat uncooked fruits and vegetables. My mouth just gets really itchy, and if I keep eating it, I throw up. And the first time that I realized that it wasn't the fruit and vegetables itself was when I backpacked Europe. I sat at my hostel in Switzerland and I ate an entire pack of cherry tomatoes and I was fine. And it was amazing. And I was like, oh my God, I can eat fruit here? And then I spent like every daily budget on fruit. But then I realized, I was like, wait a second, it has to be the chemicals. So I just avoid eating uncooked fruits and vegetables in the United States, and I have to cook them first. So basically, my diet has been rice and vegetables, soups, gluten-free bread, protein shakes. There's not many options for me. And I just recently learned that corn, peanut butter, caffeine are all also bad for psoriasis. I'm learning more every day. Because my skin was the best it ever had been right before I went to Mexico in May. I went to Mexico and the difference in my skin within a week, insane. Here's a picture that I don't like showing because I know it looks awful, but this is the reality. That was the difference in 8 days. And I was like, oh my God, it could go away. Come back to the United States and make the trip up to camp. My psoriasis starts getting worse again. I ate everything in Mexico. Everything. Junk food, even had more sugar there, alcohol every day, and it was still getting better. Crazy, isn't it? And then I came to camp and I started getting bug bites, a lot of bug bites in the middle of the Adirondacks, so many bug bites. I started to react really badly to them, and it's hot out. But I'm in pants every day and I don't wear crop tops anymore because my entire body has started to break out. I don't know if you can see it that well. And psoriasis. And it sucks, but it just seems no matter what I do in this country, I can't make it go away fully. I can't fix myself fully here. The food here is so awfully fake. Get away from my microphone. These freaking bugs! But once I learned about other things in our food, like red dye 40, blue 1 and 2, yellow 5 and 6, BHT, sugar, all of those cause cancer. Do you see what our kids eat? Brightly colored tricks and Pop-Tarts with green frosting on it. I'm working at a summer camp and I see how many kids are on medication and they're like so young. And instead of being like, hey, what are you eating? Take pills, take pills, take pills. And I can't get behind that. This is our future generation and we're poisoning them. They are looking at us as to what they should do and eat because we're raising them and we're poisoning them. And now I'm not saying like, shame on you. How would we know these things unless we went out and did the research? And I know so many people that try and share information like this and they just get shut down and they get shadow banned. And that was another reason that I have been scared to share things like this for a long time because I really enjoy my followers and having my channel, and I don't want to get shadow banned for talking about things like this, but I hope that my channel is still small enough that it will go under the radar unless it blows up and then a lot of people see it, and then if I disappear, you know why. But I'm not okay with constantly poisoning our nation. My mom has been sick since I was little. Don't really remember a time when she wasn't sick, and I want to help her, and I really feel like it's just not possible to get better in an environment like this. When a loaf of bread, you can get terrible enriched white flour for $1, and then I pay $8 a loaf for gluten-free bread. Well, the gluten causes inflammation, and then the gluten is what's bad, and the gluten feeds so many people's chronic illnesses. All chronic illnesses are usually caused by inflammation. If your body's constantly inflamed, you can't get better. You can throw pills at it to soothe the pain, but you're a customer for life for them. For Big Pharma, Big Pharma. You have to either be rich to be able to afford to eat like this. I drained my savings trying to eat better and do better for myself to the point where I can't live here anymore and afford to eat healthy. I'm just gonna get sicker. So that's why I'm like, if I go to other countries, work my remote job, I'll be able to afford to eat like a normal person. My skin's also so bad here because like, what do kids eat at summer camp? Pizza, french fries, chicken nuggets, popcorn chicken, tacos, like all things like that. I just want to eat vegetables. I could live every day on just vegetables, some tofu, some vegan protein shakes, make sure my vitamins and minerals are all there, because vitamin and minerals are also such a huge part in all of this, and they don't tell you those things. Your parents say, hey, eat your vegetables, it's good for you, but they don't tell you why. They don't tell you that if you don't get the right amount of potassium in a day, that the serotonin levels in your brain aren't working correctly. Do you know how much potassium you need per day? 4,700 milligrams. That's a lot, just so your serotonin is regulated. And if you're not getting that, and you're not getting that from fast food, you're gonna be depressed. If you're not getting the right amount of minerals and vitamins that attribute to that, you're gonna feel depressed. So the entire time that I've had depression and anxiety, I was giving it to myself. I was giving it to myself through the products that I was using. I was giving it to myself from the food that I was eating. And also the fact that you're supposed to be working 40 hours a week just so you can live, just so you can have an apartment. No, they're keeping us distracted. And I'm not saying that we are the only country that does this and every other country in the world is like good, because I don't know. They're not. There are definitely countries out there that are worse than us. But there's gotta be countries out there that are better. And I don't know which ones they are from the media. The media tells me to be afraid of Europe. I went to Europe and they were like, no, we're afraid of you guys. And I'm like, that's fair. But I wanna go find out for myself a country that isn't gonna kill me, isn't gonna give me a chronic disease, is gonna give me cancer. Now I know a lot of these cancer causing products and things, like they are unavoidable, like radiation from the sun, gasoline. At least I feel like they're unavoidable. Hope maybe they are. I don't know. But I do know that my chances of having cancer are a lot lower now because of my avoidance in a lot of these things. And I just, at the end of the day, want to heal, and I want to help everybody that I love and know heal as well. Because nobody should be suffering with chronic illness like this. It's not okay. We are paying them to give us the problem for them to solve it with money that we're paying for them. And I also can't afford health insurance here. And they don't help me. I went to the doctor for this just because, luckily enough, this camp's amazing and they put me on their insurance so I could go and see a doctor when my skin broke out. But he told me that it was a bacterial infection. I found out on my own that Uveitic psoriasis is a different type of psoriasis that can come from injury of the skin, bug bites. And it looks exactly like what I have. When I type in bacterial infection, it doesn't look like what's happening to my skin. And he gave me these antibiotics, and I monitor how I feel. I was very reluctant to take them, but I took them, and I felt angry, and I'm not an angry person. I felt depressed, I felt sad, I felt like I was a space cadet, like I was in another world. He was like, oh, you have psoriasis, like, have you thought about getting that treated? And I was like, well, I know how to treat it on my own actually, and I'm leaving the country after camp, so it's not really my main concern right now. I know it will go away once I leave. And I knew he didn't want to hear that, and he was just like, no, like, you need something for it. Like, haven't you seen like those commercials? Like if you got like injections, like it'll help it go away and you'll be just as happy as the people in those commercials. Like Humira and weird things like, I think that's one, I don't even know. They have just long names. I didn't say this, but I was like, oh, you like the ones of all the happy people running around with all the side effects just being spoken over, like the worst side effects. And I'm like, what are the odds that you don't experience those side effects? Like, no, when they say sensitive people, that's manipulation. That's 100% manipulation. More people than not are gonna be affected by those side effects, more than not. So why are we taking the risk? There are so many natural ways to heal things. We came from the earth. This just really gets to me, if you can't tell. I just wanna go from country to country to country, and I just wanna learn their way of doing things and share my experience and have them share theirs with me. And then in turn, I wanna share that with you. And that's what this channel is basically going to turn into. I'm gonna be doing workaways, random ones, all over the world, wherever I can, wherever I could get a visa to, if I even need visas. And inevitably, I want to get a dual citizenship with Hungary, which I can once I learn the language. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But, sajnos nem vagyok jól. Unfortunately, I am unwell, and I can't die in this country. I will die if I stay in this country. I will have some chronic illness, I have no doubt. And I hate to say that, because I do love the people in this country. I love that this is the one place that I can work without then having to go through the process of getting a work visa. I know it's gonna be a lot more difficult out there, but I would much rather go and be uncomfortable than stay here and just get worse. Like, I mainly started researching this when I felt myself getting I'm like, I'm only 27 years old. Why do I feel like I'm so old? But since this past year, I've never had more energy in my life. I used to need like 9 hours of sleep to feel good. I can get by on 4 and feel fine now, just because I took away as many poisons that I possibly could. But I can't take rid of all of them until I leave this country, or at least have a kitchen to cook in, because I can't cook for myself here. I don't have a stove. I'm at a summer camp, like they cook for us. I am here for 2 more weeks, and though I absolutely love this camp, I love this experience, I love these people, I love the kids, it's so great. I am very excited to go to Slovakia next. There's a little trip to Hungary beforehand, because I just really want to go there. I don't have a work way there, it's just a vacation for a week, but then Slovakia, and then who knows, I don't know. Haven't planned that far yet. We'll see as we go. But I can promise you one thing, no matter where we go, this channel will always be a sight to see. And I will catch y'all on the next one.